I'm joined once again by Michael Chiesa, who's going to be taking on Anthony Pettis at UFC 223 on April 7th. Mike, what's going on, man? How are you?
Oh, I'm doing well, man. Just got done with the workout out here at the UFC Performance Institute. That's awesome out here, man. It's, I've spent some time out here in Vegas training with John Wood for the Trinaldo fight, for the Jim Miller fight. Never did a full camp with him, and once the PI came to fruition, that was the straw that broke the camel's back. So, I'm just loving it out here, dude. It's awesome.
Yeah, and I know that gym right now has an influx of fighters coming in, and I know the morale's really good right now. What's sort of been the difference that you've noticed since being there this time as opposed to before?
Well, the difference also obviously is I've evolved as well, so I've gotten better as a fighter. So, I can work more with the skill set that John tries to build with me. It's easier to build on it now because I've grown as a fighter. And, there's just, like you said, there's just like the morale is great for the gym. They got awesome guys. Andrew Sanchez, who's another tough winner, Jesse Jess, Eric Spicely, a lot of tough guys, a lot of tough up-and-comers too. My teammate Austin Arnett, who fights in the UFC, he's out here with me as well. Sam Cecilia will be out here next week. So, Syndicate has their awesome team, but I'm bringing the varsity lineup from back home as well. So it's a perfect mix.
That's great, man. How long have you been out in Vegas?
I got here about 2.5 weeks ago, so I'm doing 7 weeks out here. But I showed up here in shape, so it's not like I was coming off the couch, coming out here getting my butt kicked. I built a good base before I left and came out here, so camp's going great, man.
Awesome. And I know being in Vegas has its perks. I saw you were at the WWE the other night, your first WWE event. How did that get all set up, and how cool was that?
I knew DC was out here, and so I linked up with him to just kind of hang out, and he's out here filming Tough, so I just went and hung out with him for a day, and he was just like, "Hey, you want to go to WWE?" And I was like, "Yeah, for sure. It sounds fun." I had no idea Ronda was going to be signing her contract that night, so I was kind of just like had no idea what was going on. It just sounded fun. I always have a good time hanging out with DC. So as we're like walking into the arena, he's just like, "Oh yeah, dude, it's gonna be so cool when Ronda comes out." I was like, "Whoa. What?" You know what I mean? And I didn't realize it was that, and it was awesome, dude. It's like she had her own little UFC section. She had obviously Travis Brown and like her team of people with her, and then we were in that same section, me, DC, Kane, DC's coaching staff were Tough. So it's like, it was awesome, dude. Like, I guess people that were watching the pay-per-view kept saying, like, when she got on the mic, it was kind of like the crowd was a little bit iffy, kind of cheering, kind of booing. But she had like a Ronda Rousey section that's just like chanting like Ronda Rousey, and like every time on the pay-per-view it kept snapping over to us and like showing us cheering for her. So it was fun, dude, and it was it was cool to support her in her new venture in her career. She's a pioneer of the sport, and I feel like I was a small part of her new chapter. Just like I feel like I was a small part of it, being there and being somebody that got to throw on a rowdy Ronda Rousey shirt and cheer for her from the crowd. The only thing I needed was a couple beers, but I was in camp, so I couldn't get as rowdy as I wanted to. No pun intended.
Were you a big pro wrestling fan growing up at all?
Yeah, actually, what kid's not a WWF wrestling, WWE wrestling fan at some point in their childhood? But actually, my mom, when she was pregnant with me, she worked at a sports bar at the stadium in Denver, and so she got to work with a lot of pro wrestlers and stuff, and. The rumor is Hulk Hogan blessed her with 24 powder blue roses when I was born because she was pregnant with a boy. So I think that I was a fan of WWF, WWE until the Attitude Era ended. Once the Attitude Era ended, I was kind of out of it,
Same thing happened to me, man. I was a big Rock, Stone Cold Steve Austin, Mankind. Those were my guys back in the day, and then I sort of fell off the wagon. So it sounds like you had a similar experience.
Dude, I think that era, my favorite match, King of the Ring, 98, Undertaker versus Mankind.
Oh, of course, we fell off, or we jumped off.
Yeah.
Oh, amazing.
That was sick, dude.
Yeah. Is pro wrestling something you'd ever consider doing after MMA's done? Because, you got the personality and everything like that. You got the beard. I think you got kind of an interesting look for that.
I'd maybe do a cameo. I'd have to put some weight on, though. I'm a little scrawny. Those guys are pretty jacked, dude. I was sitting cage side and seeing, Roman Reigns and John Cena. I was like, dude. Like the smallest guy in that, they did a total elimination tournament thing, and the smallest guy in there was probably 220. So I was like,
right.
Man, it would be kind of fun. I'd come up with some sweet ass special move, some sweet chin music or something.
Would you be a baby face or a heel? Would you be like a guy that the crowd likes, or a guy that's people are booing?
I'd probably go. I'm good at talking shit, but I'd probably go for the good guy role. You know what I mean? I don't know. I like the heel would be fun, but I think I'd try to be a good guy. If not, screw it. I'll just throw caution to the wind, just pull a Chael Sonnen and just get everybody all rallied up.
All right, we got to talk fighting at some point in this interview. We haven't seen you in a while. It's been quite a minute since you last fought in June of last year against Kevin Lee. That was a controversial fight. One of the things I wanted to ask you was there any talk after the fight from referee Mario Yamasaki about the call and all that stuff? Because it was, again, you didn't verbally tap or anything like that.
No, Mario kind of like an ostrich just fucking buried his head in the sand. He had nothing to say to me. I had a lot of things to say to him, and I was saying them right to him. I just remember when the fight was over, he was just standing there looking at the big Jumbotron screen at the arena, just kept looking at the stoppage as the crowd was just booing the freaking place's doors off. And, I was kind of talking shit to him, and he wouldn't even look in my direction, dude. And you know what? It's unfortunate that things happen for me, but, I'm selfless. And being selfless means that who cares about my fight? The fact that he shouldn't be the reason he shouldn't be officiating revolves around the Shevchenko fight. Like for an official to be in, his job is to protect the fighters. That's the referee's number one job. It's not to enforce the rules. It's to protect the fighters, to protect them from themselves sometimes. And he tries to go out and say his alibi for the whole thing is, I was giving her a chance to be a warrior. It's like, no, that's not what an official does. Because if that was the case and you were letting everybody be a warrior, everybody'd be letting themselves just get obliterated. You know what I mean? Like, fighters are their own worst enemies. We overtrain ourselves. We put ourselves through too much sometimes. And at some point, someone's got to intervene. And in that kind of instance, it was his job to protect her. And he did a horrible job. I mean, the girl had to have an ACL surgery afterwards. She could be permanently debilitated because of him. So, who cares about my fight? That's just poor officiating. You know what I mean? But this is something much more than that. And I hope I never see the guy in there with our careers and our lives in his hands. I hope he's done.
Fair enough. And I mentioned the layoff there. What's sort of been the reason why you haven't been in the cage for that long? Has it just been injuries, or you just needed the right fight? What's sort of the main reason?
Well, first it was injuries. I had, obviously don't want to say too much, but I had an injury kind of going into the fight. Really didn't play an effect on if I won or lost. You know what I mean? You're always going to go limping into a fight. We're always injured going into it, whether it's small or it's something major. There's always something. But so obviously I needed some time off, and in that kind of instance, I was just kind of pissed off with the sport. You know what I mean? I was just like kind of between the lows on fight and this fight. I was like, it's just like, I just was like needed to just take a break. But that didn't mean I wasn't training though. And then once I got back in the swing of things, I had to take about 8 weeks off. Once I got back in the swing of things, it was just a matter of getting the right fight. You know what I mean? And I got the right one. This is the perfect fight for me. I'm super excited. Yeah,
I was going to ask you about that. Taking on Anthony Pettis, a former UFC champion. How do you feel like you match up against him? Some people feel like he might have lost a step. What are your thoughts on that?
Anthony, for people to say he's lost a step, or people that just don't pay much attention to the sport, it's easy to write a guy off when he's gotten a couple losses. But, I mean, you got to look at who he's fought.
Yeah.
Fought Dustin Poirier, Rafael dos Anjos. He's fought Murders Row. You know what I mean? Max Holloway. Exactly. So it's like, okay, you're writing a guy off that's taking L's against the best guys in the world. Like you can't write him off yet. You know what I mean? But I think I match up very, very good against him. I feel like I match up very good at everybody in the division. So I'm just looking forward to putting my skills to the test against my first former world champion.
That's excellent. How is you mentioned training camp a little bit there. As far as training partners, who are some of the lighter guys you're working with at Syndicate? Because when you think of Syndicate, you think of the heavier guys.
Well, like I said, I brought Austin Arnett out with me. He's super stud. He could be a comparable 55, but he's a big 45, kind of like Anthony. Sam Cecilia, he's my main go-to. That's my staple. He's coming out, and just a couple other guys. Don't want to divulge too much. I don't want them scouting the sparring partners I have that they don't know about. But I got some good guys. I got some guys that have spent time at Tiger Muay Thai and other training camps in Thailand and stuff. So. And here's the thing, though, is the stand-up department is not Anthony's shining thing. Everybody, because of the one Showtime kick and some of the cool things he's done, everybody's like, how are you going to handle the stand-up? It's like, no, have you watched the guy's guard? The guy is sick from his back. You know what I mean? And obviously my game plan is going to be to put him there. So, I have more than just good stand-up partners. I got good jiu-jitsu guys coming in too. So it's everything's coming together.
And how do you see the fight sort of playing out on April 7th? Not giving anything away, but I'm sure you kind of see how this is going to unfold.
Just me doing what I do best, man. Just making it ugly, coming forward, big punches, takedowns, clinch. I mean, I ain't changing nothing, man. I'm just going to keep doing what I do, and I think it's enough to get the win on April 7th.
Have you run into Kevin Lee at all at the Performance Institute? Because he's a Vegas guy as well.
Yeah, I was walking in the PI today, and he was doing some type of, I think he was doing his metabolic VO2 testing. I made sure to give him a friendly middle finger as I walked by.
Okay, so the bad blood's still there. That's good.
Yeah, I mean, who wouldn't want to, you know, I wouldn't necessarily say it's bad blood. You know what I mean? I just want to kick the guy's ass, you know?
Yeah, were you surprised you didn't get that rematch?
No. The UFC, I mean, it's not very often that we see immediate rematches, you know what I mean? And in one of these instances, it's like the lightweight division's backed up enough. There's got to be movement. So I think that, you know, I don't blame him for not immediately making the rematch, but, you know, our trajectories, we'll see if they meet again. And, you know, I'm all about a rematch. I mean, if it was up to me, optimally, I beat Pettis, he beats Barboza. I'd love to rematch him in July, International Fight Week. So we'll just see how things play out.
You didn't think we were going to do this interview without talking about some Seattle Seahawks football, man. That's one thing you and I share. Are you optimistic this season? What's sort of the mindset heading into 2018 season?
You know, Seahawks are always a dangerous team. I think they're going to bring they always have a lot of weapons, and I think that we're going to have another good season. Hopefully better than the last, obviously. The one thing I want to say, though, is I love seeing Russell Wilson in a Yankees jersey. I'm a Yankees fan, so
cool.
I love
So your two loves came together. That's awesome.
Yeah, dude, I've seen him out there in that Yankees jersey. Like, dude, I got to get one of my own. I think he's number 27 or something like that, so I got to get one.
You got to go find one in Brooklyn. I'm sure they probably custom make one for you or something.
That'd be perfect.
There you go.
That
You
would
got
be
it all
perfect.
figured out. All right, Mike. Well, I really appreciate the time, man. I know you got other interviews. Just remind people where they can find you on social media, and if you got any sponsors or shout-outs, the floor is yours, man.
Yeah, definitely check me out on social media at MikeMav22 for all my Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, everything. I want a big shout-out to Onnit, who's always been a big supporter of mine the last few years, Nike Wrestling, my amazing manager, Daniel Grubenstein, the best in the business. I just want to tell my mom I love her, as I always do, and as well as my wonderful girlfriend, Kelsey Berger. Love you both. Two most amazing women ever. And, yeah, that's it.